Hey guys, so this is our live stream of the Savior's Army rewrite. Originally, I was going to have us do a comment response video here, because obviously, the Savior's Army came out, and we had a lot of views and comments on that video. But I decided, you know what? Let's give ourselves a task that is more audacious and more impossible. One might say mission impossible. With me on audio, though not visual, is my co-host, the lovely Maria. Maria, say hello.
Hello. Hi, beautiful
Yes.
people. I'm here. I am maked up and ready to record, but I have no internet, so we're doing this. We're so committed to
Yeah.
this that
Our patrons.
yeah, that we're doing it like so. This is how we're
We
rolling
are.
for you.
She can still see your guys' comments though, so
hmm
that's good. And yeah, you get to just see my lovely face instead. Obviously, the beard. It's giving Major Riker vibes,
Yeah.
as
The beard she
Max
be
on our
bearding.
Discord would say.
hmm
Shout out.
hmm
Okay, all right. So, this is what we're going to do with this one. So, previously we had done two rewrite videos where we had come up with like some just genuinely really cool story ideas of how the first two books could have been reworked. We're not continuing those here because honestly, that might be fun to do, but I think most people don't really remember those. And also, I think that people are going to be interested to see how we would fix this book.
As
So the
is.
premise here is how the basically Jenna publishes book one, book two. She goes, I'm tired of this writing thing. Will and Maria, you guys are talented and good looking.
hmm hmm
Write me the third book. Ghost write it for me. And you can't change anything from the first two books, so no retcons. And now we're given this impossible task. Savior's rewrite. We cannot change anything from the first two books, though I am going to point out that I can't remember a bunch of the bullshit about Brontes from the second book. But also, it's not gone over in this book again, so I don't. We're not going to go out of our way to retcon things, but if something is retconned, that's fine. Like, we're
Yeah.
not going to go make sure. We're not going to be fastidious
We
about this. It's not
we
worth our
didn't
time or
reread
money.
the second book in preparation for this, so there will be holes in our memory.
Yeah, okay, but not intentional. Those are the games that we're playing. Go ahead and start with a few broad ideas that we had. So we're just gonna thought dump, as Moreci likes to say here. The first was that I think there needs to be the book needs to start with a shadow walk assassination. Start with shadow
Yeah,
walk
that's exactly what I was
being
thinking.
a sat. Oh God, you guys are gonna see how bad nation attempt on
Bronte.
Brontes.
Because this is exactly how it needs to start to make the conceit of the book work.
Yeah, and there was a lot of bullshit about she couldn't kill him because of his network or something like that. But that's literally never brought up in this books, and
No.
we never could figure out what his network was. I think you start with an assassination attempt, and then brief flashback of like two paragraphs as to how they got some cell swords to help them. Martin does this a lot in his writing. George R. R. Martin, he'll have like a character start and then think about what happened right before and then keep going, and it's only like a paragraph or two, and it's very economical. I think in this initial prologue, so let's put chapter one. Start with shadow walking attempt on Brontes, then brief flashback of like two paragraphs, and I think we have Brontes isn't there though.
Yep.
He set a trap. Um, we encounter Leila and Tobias. It's too much. We can't change his name, guys. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Uh, encounter a witch hunting bounty hunter
Yeah, because there's
who,
a thing we learn about
yes,
in the book is that there are like in other countries witch hunters and people that specifically so there it also gives you the
mm-hmm,
idea that Layla is not the only person that has access to magic. which is not explored at all. What do they function like? What are these other magic users like? What is, and nothing. We got nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't ask those questions. Maybe in this we will attempt to flesh out some of that because that would be interesting. But we are introduced to the idea that there's this one group of people who have these like badass witch hunters, and I think it completely makes sense to present that because it, number one, starts providing a force that could actually cripple Leila.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that Brontes remembers that Leila has shadow walking as a literal
Which
power. And I can't
he
remember.
seems to have forgotten.
Yeah. And the thing that I was thinking about the other day is like, did he know about this? Like, did he know she had shadow walking abilities, or did she hide it from? I mean, it would be impossible. I don't know how she would hide it from him, but it was a thing that I was thinking about. But anyway, the idea is Brontes assumes an assassination attempt because it would be the logical thing because he's the only person with any claim to power on the opposition side.
Yes, and I think in the book here, I'm gonna go to it real quick. This is the part in we didn't talk about this because it adds nothing. But when they get attacked by the pirates, it's mentioned that like some of them are from the Outlands where there is magic and they're magic hunters, and the way that you or witch hunters, and the way that you get like a witch's power is by cutting off the body part of theirs. That's magical, and in this case, they would need to skin Layla. Uh, it's my skin, Leila cried. Thank you for your sacrifice. He's going to skin her, and then they don't because obviously. But I like that as who Bronte's hired. He he will skin Leila as for her power. I think up until this point in the scene, Leila should be just completely dominating everybody with shadow walking.
Yes.
And then when she tries to kill him with shadow walking, he's like, that doesn't work. I can do that. Like, I know how to counter that. You know what I mean? Very
Yeah.
like Boba Fett fighting a Jedi style of like, I'm, a big tough guy. Shadow walking is
Ooh,
countered
Jen
by him.
W says, I think she managed to hide her shadow walking until the end of the culmination when she saves Tobias, which completely, yeah, that checks out. Okay, so yes, everyone is aware she has
Well,
shadow walking.
yeah, and also he hired this bounty hunter got here. He probably hired him before the tournament started, which I'm gonna reveal why later. But
Hmm.
and we're going to have it so that maybe he tells Brontes that like this is a thing she can do. So her shadow walking is countered by him. I also think it would be cool if he has pseudo magic from mummified
Which body parts?
witch
Exactly.
body
Oh my God,
parts. I think that would be cool,
we are literally
right?
in sync. Also, Listomania goes, wait, so she established magic hunters, but Brontes, the one who's actively hunting down a magical person, isn't using them? Yes, indeed. That is entirely that's we didn't go into this a lot in the book
Mm-hmm.
when we were reviewing it and discussing it, but like it's so glaring, it's honestly frustrating.
It's I was watching an interview of her talking with somebody else who was just like filleting her for her work. And it was funny because she talks about some of the things we like. It's hilarious. It's always hilarious to watch authors or reviewers talk about a terrible work as if it's great. But one of the things she talks about is how the Outlands actually have like a lot of magic, which then makes it like, well, if if one rather minor magic user can become the savior of an entire country, then why aren't people from the Outlands constantly coming in and becoming like
Yeah.
it creates all these kinds of weird problems. Um, okay, so he and the guards slaughter the cell swords, and only Leila and Tobias escape. How do you do an
Escape.
accent mark? Anybody know how on a keyboard I can do an accent mark very quickly? 10 minutes
Oh,
late, and I tune into Bronte's munching mummified witch bodies. That's so funny. Hey, what's up, our European viewers?
yay. Hi.
Uh,
I don't know how to do
through,
it. On a Mac, it's
through
long press, right alt plus the letter.
Alt E. No, that is delete all. We're not going to do that. Anyway, right alt the plus the no. No, this is, guys. I have a PC. I care about having money. Okay. Anyway, so I actually think it would be kind of cool if the witch hunter could do like he can't really do magic himself, but he can kind of like piggyback off her magic. So you have a moment where like they shadow walk away, but he's able to like because she opened the tunnel in reality almost like he's able to go through it and follow them. And then
Oh, I love that.
and then they kind of keep bouncing and he's able to do it and he says something like oh, this is going to be harder for you than you think. This power only works with places you're familiar, and that's the other big thing. Okay, so chapter 1, shadow walking. That's the title. We'll do shadow walking. I talked about this in the review. I actually cut a whole bit where I talked about if shadow
Oh
walking looks like
God,
a GPS or an AI.
we're getting so much. We have a hello from France. Hello
Ah, le
from
français.
Italy. Hello from Italy.
I
We
suppose hello from Italy. Yeah, our European viewers, very cool. I will do terrible accents. Sorry, just immediately. But yeah. So shadow walking is limited by Leila's familiarity with a location. Semicolon, because I love abusing those. She never realized it before because she'd always lived in the castle. What?
Someone says. So we've had a lot of. I can add a hello from Germany, hi from Norway, hi from Czech, and then somebody goes hello from England. Don't even try, Will. I hate it. I told
Oh
you.
wait,
A
it's
hate
it's
crime.
really nice.
No, William.
Oh, is Don Giasimus in? Oh, we got a Germany, we got a Norway, Norway. Hello from Czechoslovakia. Nope, it's not Czechoslovakia.
What are you doing?
France, actually UK. Hello from India. I no accent for that one, guys. No accent.
We have
represent
Luxembourg.
the accent I burn. I've actually been doing a new a British accent that's more
God,
based
I
on Innsmouth
cannot.
Fishers.
I
You see,
cannot.
when we were
Let me tell you, every time he does an accent, I'm just like,
hungry, we
who
actually have a
allowed
lot of
this?
international viewers.
Yeah, we do.
Considering there's only
Taiwan,
100 people in the chat right now, that's actually pretty
Hungary,
cool.
and then side quest hero, California, AUS. Let's go.
Yeah. U.S. I don't deserve this. Let's go ask the whole subcontinent of South Asia what their opinion is on whether you guys deserve this or not.
Listen, they've done some bad
subscribe for
things,
that accent.
Will, but that accent is
Okay.
that's right.
I also think I think another way to do this Dragonfire Muse I was talked about this. Another way you could limit the shadow walking is that something by this bounty hunter fucks up her shadow walking initially, or it's something where whenever she shadow walks, he can now track her, so it's limited in that way as well. Shadow walking is limited by, let's do it this way.
Oh my God, this just automatically fixes so many problems with the book as far as the logical screaming into the void.
Inconsistency.
Why doesn't she just shadow walk?
The witch hunter can
Track.
track and follow her when she uses it. Witch hunter damaged it somehow. I think that's also a way to do it. Because it just you need to do it. I didn't do that. I just live here. To be fair, you also said you're from, so you could be South Asian. There's actually a lot of those, from what I understand.
Again, yes, William, with your accents, hate criming people.
Well, it's just that my grandparents are from a small Innsmouth, the Shadow Jar. I'm workshopping him, guys. Okay, so I think these are better ones. I think also before escaping, Tobias loses an eye to the bounty, to the witch hunter. So this does two things. One, it's kind of just fun that now he's an inverse of Brontes. But secondly, it means that now he can't go into town because guy with one eye who is much easier for like people to try to find than a guy who is of normal build, coloring, hair, and height and accent.
Like
Like
and the most
have not having
common eye color and hair color in the land.
I am that was spot on. Thank you, thank you. They're talking about how good my accent was. I choose to believe.
No, 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 no. That's not. That's
uh,
you know. That's not what they were agreeing
but
with.
I will not be highlighting any disagreement. What if she shadow walks into a wall or an object? Can she hurt herself that way? Okay, so actually, again, this goes back to the discussion I cut from the View because I didn't think anybody would care. Is it that she can't be going to the absolute space, right? Because her planet orbits the sun, so shadow walk to the exact place, it would be in space. So one can assume it's like a GPS at least, where it's where it is in relation to their Earth's core, right? Because, but the thing is, like, that's the only way to make it work. But it seems to be more like a GPS where she can't go into walls because otherwise, you're correct. Somebody could just build a wall where she's been, and she would be like, that happened, I think, in like a Doctor Who episode or something like that. And I have
British
this whole thing
people
about how
coming through this.
basically what she should do is just step onto the deck of a bunch of ships and then shadow walk to them every night, and then she can just go anywhere in the realm she wants to. It's a kind of a massive plot hole.
Mhm.
Another Brit here. Oh, William, stop it because it's so good.
No, no, nobody says that. So there's a couple of great other comments about, so someone says maybe Brontes has only his left eye while Tobias has his right. Symbolism. Um,
Symbolism.
because I love the idea, and Will and I were talking about it. How, baby, if you want to sit on my lap, sorry, there's a cat trying to sit on my lap, and he has very, very sharp fucking little toesies. If you want to sit on my lap, let me get a blanket, you shithead. Okay, but
So there's a couple of people who are like, just make it separate or do this or that. We can't retcon, guys. The thing is, this has to be consistent with how it kind of worked in the first book. And so I think these are good reasons why it would be limited, but they kind of make sense for why it worked the way it did in the first book.
I agree. But back to what I was saying before, I got rudely interrupted by a cat. Um, there's a point in the book where she makes symbolism, really dumb symbolism, between Flynn losing an eye and Brontes. And I think it works so much better and adds so much more complexity to the narrative and Leila and Tobias's relationship if it's Tobias that ends up losing an eye at the start. And because, like Will said, I mean, this was something he mentioned like in the video immediately, which is you have to give Tobias some disfigurement so he's easily
Hmm.
noticeable as a tracking purposes. And I think missing an eye, uh, and maybe even having a scar kind of running down really makes that work.
I think later there should be a scene where they come across like some guy with an eye who's been killed, and or just like a lot of people with one eye that have been killed, because then it would be like, oh, look at how awful Brontes is
Bronte,
catching people who aren't even.
exactly.
Yeah,
Like they're
I
they're not even paying attention to which eye it is. You
yeah,
know?
exactly. They're just like, well, it seems about right. Like there's a bunch of bounty hunters coming in for that kind of thing, maybe. Um, I think how can we make it good if we don't retcon? Hard to build a house on a flawed foundation. Well, that is what this is about. That's what this is about. This is the what we have set, because otherwise, like, it actually there becomes too many options.
Yeah.
Um,
And Will said at the beginning, and you might not have been here for it, Barbie Book Eater, but he mentioned that we're going to function as if the first and second book are published. We cannot change those, and we need to rewrite this book where without retconning too much from those. And so that's the specific writing exercise we're doing right now,
mhm.
is while leaving all of the stuff that happened prior to this, how can we make this book work better functionally without the points, because as a reader it's super frustrating to be like yelling at the book going, what about this other very obvious option the whole time? And so the idea is within what is already there, how to improve. A critique we get sometimes is, oh, that's not what the story is trying to be. You're not engaging with the piece or the
Yeah.
book doing what it is trying to do. And I think it is valid to say that, if we turned it into something completely different, uh, we're not engaging. And so here we are. We are engaging with it as it is on the page.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
think also it's a bit of a dunk on Jenna because a lot of these things could be fixed. Like that's what's weird is that there's no reason it needs to be this bad. By the way, she said that she was a little wary of putting in that scene of them being high on the slave ship because it's her kind of humor, but she didn't think other people were going to like it. But then every beta reader she had thought it was hilarious, so she had to keep it in. Which I don't believe because I've spoken to beta readers from her and she's not good at taking feedback. So I think she just kind of filters out feedback she doesn't want. But if she did, she could have fixed a lot of these things.
yeah,
Okay, chapter 2. I think it should be that. Oh, you know what? Yukana and Naomi are horrified by Tobias's injury, providing tangible reasons to distrust, to not distrust. What's the word I'm looking for? To distance
distance,
themselves
dislike.
from Leila. Because I think that was one of the things in the book that always felt very dumb. I mean, the thing about it is, technically, if we're writing it, this can work. But also, by the way, Steel Wool had said, "Hi, cool. Can I ask about your book?" Not right now. I mean, you can ask, but we just won't answer because we're busy doing this instead.
We have a specific thing for this podcast
Yeah, we
today.
have lives we got to get to after this, unfortunately. To distance themselves from Leila, uh, they can. They now can't shadow walk to assassinate Brontes because they don't know where he is. See? Plot hole
Yep.
solved. Now, uh, uh, creates plot thread that to confront him, they need to know his secret fortress of
Location.
solitude. Um, let's see. These are the editors it needs, not the editors it deserves. That's really funny. Oh, also wanted to ask, are y'all sticking to the dual POV? I mean, I think so. I wanted to address this really quickly because in me and Katie's critique of the pros, we mentioned at the beginning that we didn't really like the dual uh, viewpoint structure, and I think people took that a little harsher than either me or her meant it. We don't like, I personally don't love it as like for personal reasons. That's just not my style. And like I do think in certain cases it works really well. The Hyperion Cantos I think works really well with multiple points of view. I think Dune only really works as a book because of it's more omniscient perspective. I do think there are
um,
uses for it. It's more of a personal preference that I was, though it may not have come across
Spinning
that way.
Silver, I think has,
Yeah,
you don't
Spinning
like
Silver. Yeah,
all of the points of view, but you do appreciate some of them and what they add. So,
they cut out his eye only. Hard to have a
um, Uh,
uh,
and the thing is, I think the thing that would, and we can't like conceptually show you how we would fix this, is I think to make the two POVs work for this book, you have to have the narration and the vibe feel fundamentally different. One of the critiques I made to Will, that I
uh,
don't know if I haven't watched the critique streams you and Katie did yet, but that I made over text was that the sex scenes don't feel different from the different point of
yeah, we
views. They
talked. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. How Jenna seems to, her idea of male sexual experiences and sexuality seems to just have been extrapolated from locker room talk. Like
Mhm.
she's like, men must really be into titties. That's what's up. That's what. Oh, and she said his dick was big. That's why it. That's what got him there. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, you're lucky. And me and Katie did a critique stream where we broke down the pros of um, the sex scenes. We also have about 30 behind the scenes pros critiques like that are exclusive to Patreon. We also have a writing playlist where we've done like small short snippets from those if you guys are interested in checking those out, or just join the Patreon for the book club and you get access to all 30 of those. Uh,
Wahoo.
but
But yeah,
guys,
I think mm,
one character is an isolated princess goddess and the other is an artist turned laborer. How could their POVs possibly be different?
that's the thing. Why does
Yeah.
it feel functionally the same. Like there's no voice difference in the POVs or like how they look at the world. And again, the sex scene is a perfect example of how that needs to be like what is focused on from their different points of view needs to be different. How it impacts them needs to be different. So while I think we would keep the two points of view, I think if in a world where we wrote this, which obviously is never going to happen, it would the endeavor would be to make it so the points of view function differently and feel more
Yes,
nuanced to the
complementary.
character. Exactly.
Okay, so Slormworm had the most brilliant idea. Well, they had an idea that was really smart, and I had an idea that was, can the witch hunter do something spooky and spy-like with Tobias's eye, or did he just shoot that front? Okay, so here's what happens. You're right. He doesn't lose his eye. The witch hunter cuts one of those like really cool vertical eye things, but it nicks his eye really badly, so the eyeball is very damaged, right? But not completely gone. So when Leila for the whole book is trying to save the eyeball and heal Tobias. And the thing is though, the witch hunter did that specifically. He wounded it instead of taking it out because he can see through Tobias's eye and track them
Ooh.
every time Leila heals it. So then right at the end, Tobias realizes that's what's happening. That's how he's been following them each time she tries to heal it, and he plucks
Oh.
out his own eye.
Oh, that's it. Knock out what we had previously. That is fantastic.
That keeps also he still has a big ass scar wound on his whatever, but this is secretly uh
Like maybe Layla said something like, "Oh, thank goodness you didn't lose an eye. That might be something I would struggle with." Like,
oh
I struggle with,
yeah.
and then as he has to pull the eye out, he's like, "Fuck." I mean, obviously, ripping your own eye out sucks, but knowing how it's going to impact and being nervous about how it's going to impact your relationship with your partner, delish. Om nom nom, bitches.
Let me type this up real quick. You talk to the comments.
Okay, comments. Ba ba ba. So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to see. Um, B Bumble XX says the sex scenes feel like they could be switched around or removed and it wouldn't change anything in the book. Yes, that is entirely how they function. Um, Slorm is getting some love for their idea. The problem with this is that the witch hunter is a way more interesting character than Tobias and Layla combined.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie to you. That's secretly, yeah.
um, also, a moment that shows why this guy won the tournament. That was Lithuania. Oh, making him. Oh, sorry, I'm farring. That would be such a good character moment, making himself physically more similar to Brontes, but doing it anyway because that's what'll keep Layla safe. Also, a moment that shows why he's the guy that won the tournament. Um, ba, ba, ba.
Okay, no,
Sorry.
okay. You did very good there, but now I'm back.
Okay, good.
Let's see. Oh, you know what? Here, let's do just 1 second, just 1 second.
1 second. What are you
I'm
doing?
hilarious. No, I'm hilarious. You guys will see in a second. I'm so funny. I'm getting some visual aids. Okay, so this is what we will think that. There we go. This is our witch hunter character. Actually, what I'm thinking for the witch hunter character, if you guys watched our breakdown of The Witcher, which none of you did, shame on you for not supporting good art. I'm thinking of the bounty hunter from that as basically his character. I don't remember what his name is. He was just a brutal, brutal character. I imagine him as kind of Cossacky with the big mustachios. I think that would be fun. If anybody in the chat, if Chris is here, Chris will remember what it's called.
Chris
What his
M
name
is
is.
here.
Chris M. Chris M is coming in clutch, always. Have y'all got any plans for custom in Delphi? We'll get there.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get there. I don't know why it feels like you should accent. That makes no sense. Yeah, you know what? I think honestly, it's pretty. I think again, I think some kind of like I think some kind of because he's from the Outlands. You
He's
know what I
from
mean?
the
And there should also be
Outlands.
something where he's like, let me see the witch hunter's cock imported. funny. Um,
More.
that's so funny. He looks like Smee turned evil. Yeah. Well, no. I mean, first of all, this is a witch hunter from, as you guys know, Warhammer, the old world, which used to just be called Warhammer Fantasy. Um, making the thing a little. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. This is what I meant to do. This is none of this is important. Okay, so uh, asking for a friend. Okay, convention they need. So they basically they're like, okay, well we can't do that now. Damn it. Why is my computer keeps asking me to update, and whenever it's the little message pops up, it keeps deselecting whatever I'm doing. Yeah, later. Nobody cares about Lenovo Vantage. Okay, so someone goes into town. I don't know who. I can't. Maybe it's Leila. How about Leila goes into town under the cover of night? Good place. Good scene for her to start to know her people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She learns a few important things here. Okay, first, nobody likes Tobias because at the end of the championship, he like rejected the savior. So nobody likes Tobias. Thinks he's hot garbage. Okay. Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Agreed.
just checking to make sure you're still here.
Yeah, I am.
Uh,
It's hard when you can't see my face and the nodding that's happening.
accurately. Okay. I think also, okay, so this is an idea I played around with for a little bit. Isn't the witch hunter guy called Rienz or something? Oh yeah, no, it's y'all caught me off guard and I only caught the part of the Cossack. It's the witch hunter guy in The Witcher. Not the witch hunter guy. The isn't his name like Napoleon or something like that? Napiens? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Well, you'll remember in a second because you're good like that. Um, oh, okay. So another idea I played around with is that Brontes, because Leila was an idiot and spent her entire time in the tournament pretending Bonhart. That's what it is. That's why I thought it was Napoleon.
Bonaparte. That's
um,
freaking hysterical.
okay. So because Leila was an idiot and spent her entire time in the tournament and in public pretending that
She
Cosima
wasn't.
was the savior. I think what Brontes does is he has Flynn and Cosima be his fake saviors, like oh here's the savior and the
Yeah.
champion.
So
You know
and
what I mean?
and this makes way more sense than the previous so what happens in the actual book where he's like, "Oh, Tobias is evil," even though everybody loves him, and he's kidnapped the savior, which is harder to not harder to, but it's just kind of dumb. I love the idea of this because it plays with what's already established. Tobias did forfeit. Flynn did win the tournament.
Yeah, and I think also this is a good place for there to just be kind of a lot of confusion about kind of what's going on among the
Hmm.
populace. You know, we don't actually need this as
And
nobody.
Brontes will be banking on the fact that Layla will still continue blessing while she's there. Uh, the Earth, like he's going to make the assumption that she won't let the crops die, and let the people start starving.
Mm-hmm.
Which will like further his claim. And so maybe there's a point where Layla decides when she finally has to leave Thesson and she can't continue blessing it, she has to make the choice of, am I going to do this thing that will affect my
Yes.
population? If I leave Thesson's soil, I am going to be causing this thing. And that, because like when I tell you, there's never a moment in the book where she's like, wow, if I go to these other places, Thesson will start dying and falling apart around us, which happens. And she's never like, wow, that's on me, bro. You know?
Yeah, and I think also she should also think about like, okay, maybe I'll stop doing that, so they think the real savior is. They'll be like, oh, Cosima's not the real savior, but she has to struggle with the fact that then people are going to die. The
Exactly.
moral implications and costs. That to me is a much more interesting conflict. Even if she doesn't choose to do it, bringing it up is interesting. Didn't she glow in front of the spectators at the end of book one though? Does Bronte just kill them, or am I misremembering? I believe she does. But the thing about it is that this is a pre-modern society without cell phones, so that's why I said there's a lot of confusion about this, because some people are like, there was a guy called Tobias who won, and then he said down the savior, and then there's like a weird flash of light, and some dark-haired girl who wasn't the savior. Like that can be like, oh, okay, there's a lot of confusion because again, this is a pre-modern society and it's about narratives. I think in general that is a theme of this book should be the power of narratives and um the power of narratives and how those can and winning over the people. The
Yeah.
what is the sociological battlefield, community battlefield. I'm not thinking of the correct word, but the battlefield of the mind. You know what I mean? They're
You
winning
know,
hearts and minds.
and one of the things you can play with is that there might have been people who came to the start of the culminate, like the tournament, and saw that initial thing and saw Cosima as the savior versus the people that were there at the culmination. Like this is a functioning like society with like an economy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantee everybody could put their lives on hold for 30 days while this happened. So you could have several people who were like, no, I was there, I saw the savior, she was a redhead with big boobies. And then there being people at the end being like, no, 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 the savior's actually a black haired girl,
Mm-hmm.
magic. And then having that, and that, I mean, Will's right, confusion's the perfect word for it. But just even playing with like who could be there or not there. Because again, we don't have like printing presses.
Well,
It's
and the other thing I think that would be fun is if the only thing everyone agreed on was that Tobias was garbage. So some people think he gave up on he renounced the savior, and other people are like that wasn't even the savior, and it's just everyone's just like no, he's terrible.
exactly.
Because the thing about it is that it's fun when characters have to go through hard things. And it's funnier for Tobias to have to work uphill against the idea that he's complete shit than it is for him to just be tortured a lot. That's not really like
The right kind
that's
of fun. And also,
yeah, and
there's no
go ahead.
joy in overcoming it. You know, the torture
Yeah.
stops. You know, you don't. There's nothing you can do as the person being tortured to like. How people get out of being tortured a lot is they just, somebody saves them or the other person dies, and like that's it. There's versus what you're saying, which is actively having to deal with these terrible situations and problem solve, and as you problem solve you make the situation better. That is a much better way to bond with the character and improve the story overall.
Mm-hmm. And it can provide character growth and morale. So okay, moral implications and costs. Would people think Tobias a heretic for assumably rejecting their god? Yes. Is
Absolutely.
Flynn playing pretend, or is he money about Cosimo not being the real savior? I don't know. And unfortunately, while that would be really interesting to look at, I don't necessarily know how we could
See,
get a
I had
POV
a
in there.
thought. See, I had a thought. I've already thought this through, baby doll. I've
Oh,
got
hit
you.
me.
Don't worry. Because I also thought, let's get Flynn in there with Cosima. Let Flynn and Cosima develop an actual, real relationship. Let Flynn realize that Brontes is a like all the things with like the toxic masculinity and
Oh.
like stuff, and out of a will to save Cosima, Flynn ends up escaping and getting that cavalry, like getting the horses, like kind of at a moment where things are down, Flynn shows up and is like, "Yo, I need to save Cosima. The situation sucks." Like he's crafted a reason for himself to get out of the castle for a couple of days. Brontes thinks he's completely on board because him and Cosima like each other, and he's got it. And he's like, "No, no, no, no. I'm turning over to your side," because I've been thinking about like Flynn is such a shitty character, and I'm not saying that there isn't room and things that he had to grow from at the end of the first book. There obviously is, but how he is used in this book, and Will and I complained about it a lot, so I'm not going to go into it in deep
Mm-hmm.
detail, but having a better use for that character and the fact that he comes from a prominent family who breeds war horses, even something like you provide the army, we will get you the horses. I whatever I can do to get Cosima out of this situation. And maybe after everyone is rescued and Cosima's like, oh shit, I was still left here, but she, realizing the situation, wanting better, and maybe Brontes is still, doing shit with Cassima, and Flynn hates seeing it. And it kind of causes, like, I can be that kind of man, or I can be something better, and, having that growth. So I
I
think
think
that's
that's
what
a
we
good
do.
idea. I think you also don't even need to fully redeem him. Just having him
Nope,
be somewhat in conflict with Brontes is
exactly.
interesting. I think actually a good way to get into this is what we would do is we would have in the frame narrative where Tobias is being tortured. Instead of being tortured like as brutally as he is or whatever, he's in the dungeon with Flynn and Cosima waiting for Brontes to show up to see him, and then we can have conversations between him and Flynn and Cosima and kind of explore what's going on with them emotionally more.
Yep, I think that would work. And then again, potentially having Flynn like send a letter to his dad showing up and being like, "Hey, my son reached out. We'll provide you horses." Like the situation is shitty. And I just think because that would be so much more useful. Like we do this whole thing where we go to Flynn's house and there's these war horses, and it all amounts to
Mm-hmm.
fucking nothing. That's the other thing we're removing from this is everything they do leads somewhere in a concrete way instead of going back into the woods going, what do we do now, guys? And so I think removing entirely them going to Flynn's house, but having this as a way where this thing can kind of play back into it makes total sense.
Yeah, I think Dan. I think that makes a lot of sense. Also, somebody said the sand is screaming because Leila hasn't blessed it for a while. Ah, yes,
Exactly.
good point. Did you
Let me
see
tell
the
you.
comment on our last video that was like, "I hate sand. It's rough, coarse, and won't stop screaming."
No, that's so funny.
It was
And
hilarious.
there was also that one person who was like, "Well, there's that singing sand," and I went and it's like, number one, that's insane. If
Hmm.
you watch the videos of it, but also that didn't sound like screaming to me. And also, he was in a town and not on a desert dune. So, uh,
Our
screw
point
Blessy and her screaming
stands.
sand.
Okay, hold on. I'm moving things. Okay,
Poor
so
screaming sand, second best character after the witch hunter. Man,
let's go
Floorworm
to
is on it.
chapter 3. And there may be more stuff in between here and there, but the next big plot point I think is Raphael Raphael, yeah, arrives. Because I think he's a good enough character. I think. I think he's a for like the band of the 5-man band. I think as the brain, he's an okay character, and we can make use of
No,
him.
I agree. We keep Raphael.
He finds them the same way. I thought also like it strains credibility a little bit that he would think to go where like, but it's okay. That's enough of it's close enough. Um, Nobody is weird to him.
Maybe Tobias had told Raphael where his mother was. He like the where the village was, and he was able to track from there, like that it was close to the Creos woods.
Yeah, or something wherever they do end up. Because I think I don't know wherever it is. But also nobody is weird to him because that part in the book is just so overwrought.
Yes, we're just taking that out.
They're just taking it's just stupid.
Like, and maybe there's a point where he apologizes to Leila, like where he goes like, "Hey, I'm sorry that, I did that." And she was like, "We were all trying to survive, buddy. You know,
Yeah.
I had done way worse things to for my survival than, what you did, and you kept my secret. So thanks, bro."
Okay, there's a radical change being suggested in the chat.
Ooh.
Guys, what if Raphael and Naomi had actual chemistry and endearment and didn't just bicker?
Oh my God, yes. Because, like, I don't mind them as a couple, but, like, let me tell you, that shit needs to change. Like, it is such school yard understanding of romance of, because, like, you can tell there's a point where Naomi's like, yeah, I like him, but I'm going to continue being mean to him. And he's like, oh, I'm done with it. Like, yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
We need to add actual,
You
and
know,
also, hmm?
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it just does not make sense. Like, for Naomi and Yukana to go as long with them along for so long of the book. Like, we need to find a place to pop them, like, and get
Yeah,
them to safety much
dock
sooner.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Honestly, what we could do if we wanted to is kind of reuse one of our ideas from our other rewrite, where instead of Raphael finding Tobias, he is in the frame narrative with Cosima and Flynn as like they were like, no, 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 we need to make sure all the champions stay here, right? Like they capture whoever had gotten out. They were looking for Enzo, but they can't. But they find Raphael. But Raphael has kind of wormed his way in as an advisor now, and
Ooh.
him and Cosima have a little bit of a thing where it's like that whole thing where like he kind of sees her outside of her beauty and she's not used to that. Even if we don't want to have it be a good character, I think that adds a little bit of nuance.
I mean, I would agree. That's very interesting.
Let's have a frame story. Uh, Raphael was captured to keep the tournament secrets secret, but has ingratiated himself as an advisor because he's smart.
Smart.
Cosima and him have a dynamic where she feels seen in by him in a way she doesn't by other men. And again, you don't need to go. I mean, because we're not retconning all the Cosima stuff. She did try to assault, or she did assault Tobias in the first book. So like, we
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to fully redeem her. But like
No,
again, I think that just adds a little bit more interest. I like this idea of the
exactly.
frame story being more about exploring Cosima and Flynn.
I do.
Um, I need to go grab more water, so you vamp for a little bit.
Okay. I will look at what's in the comments. So, it just bothers me. So, Henrique Cordal, can I show this on stage? I don't know if I can. Because I don't know what powers I have since I am on a cell phone. But Enrique Cordal 8995 says, just bothers me a lot how Raphael's main asset, his intelligence, is completely useless throughout this book. He only his only use is to legitimize Jenna's nonsensical plot ideas. That is so true, and that's why I think honestly having him in the capital, weaseling his way into Brontes' inner circle as a form of like just makes way more sense and use of his like intelligence. Jen asks, "Are we dropping off Naomi and Mother? Are we dropping off Naomi and Mother at the brothel somewhere? We're dropping them off somewhere because let me tell you,
Okay, they can't
it.
hear you yet. So just play it cool.
Yeah,
Don't
listen to
think
Will.
about boobs. Don't think about boobs.
Um,
Okay, I'm back, guys. Now you can hear me again.
yep.
I do this
Now we
joke
can
literally every time, guys.
every
We're just
time.
so tired of it. But usually I'm like, pretend you're not gay, pretend you're not gay, which is like, I thought was a little homophobic for this. But then I realized I just did this by explaining it.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
So wait, magnifying glass of the world says, Maria, why is your voice more silent than William's? Am everybody else, am I quieter than Will? Let me know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So this is the frame story. I think because again, I think I like that a lot more as a way to explore Cosima and Flynn and give them. And the thing is, this will come back in politicky ways where we see that Flynn and Cosima are now kind of diverged from Brontes, so they have, there can be like politicking there and added complexity.
Hmm.
Um,
And also,
the-
the whole dynamic of if they're presenting Flynn as the true winner of the Savior's Tournament and they're presenting Cosima as the savior, why isn't the wedding going forward? And having a beat in the story as far as between the public and the people within the castle being like, we're prepping for a wedding, but the wedding just keeps getting pushed back and pushed back because then Flynn would be in charge and Brontes can't have that happen.
yeah, this is all right before their wedding
Yes.
nuptials, where Brontes will have to appear. Because
Oh, yes. Fuck yeah. Oh my God. We now have a battle at a wedding, guys. Oh man, we just
that's
that is so good. Having
so much
the wedding
better.
And getting like, and he blackmails. So eventually, he's like, at first he's like, how do I? And but Brontes realizes he has feelings for Cosima, and he blackmails him into, you have to get married, but I'm still going to rule. You're not going to. And so this whole wedding thing is happening. Oh, I love this. That is
Oh,
such a better climax.
this is a good maybe Flynn turns on Brontes when he realizes he's been essaying Cosima. I think
100%. That's what I'm
that would be
saying,
really
guys.
interesting.
Yep. Goes through
Cos
he never leaves the castle because he's still trying to help Cosima. He just gets messages out. Like maybe he sends Raphael to find the rest of them by saying that Raphael will be a spy ambassador in Trigolia or wherever, and
I
that's
think
how Raphael joins the group.
I think it's also would be interesting to kind of explore more, like, because these aren't like feminist men from the 1500s or not 15, modern day. I don't know what happened there, guys. And I actually think it would be interesting if Cosima didn't even really realize what was happening to her was assault, and so like this is revealed early, and it's kind of a journey for Flynn to kind of come to this realization, because immediately he would be like, "Oh, she wouldn't do something so terrible," and then maybe Raphael has a thing about it. This doesn't happen automatically. It's complicated.
Oof, I love this.
Yeah, I think that's good. Hold on. I'm looking for a picture for the frame story.
Um, so while you find that, so the somebody said in the chat that if they like, would they shadow walk and try assassinate Brontes on the wedding day? And I don't think that's how it would go. The assumption would be that Brontes would be heavily, heavily guarded, so they would have to come in with a decent force.
Yeah.
Um, and so
And
this is
also,
why.
stuff with the witch hunter will have happened by then, I think.
Exactly. And so they know the shadow walking isn't going to be the way that they do this, but that if they go in and, especially if Flynn is on their side, there's going, like, they know that that's an in, they have other things. And so that's why they decide they need a fighting force to attack on the day of the wedding, because they'll be the most vulnerable, less prepared for a wedding, element of surprise, and it'll have everyone they want in one location, so they can probably like try get in and get out without too much external damage. Because the idea is Leila should not want an army. She should be like, I am not storming my own lands with a foreign army. How do we keep them from like?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what
Pillaging.
happens? Exactly. Like, we are not like I innocent people die that way if we do that, especially as she learns from the other people how they're affected about stuff, and realizing like maybe she wants an army at first, but the more she learns, she's like, no, 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 I don't. But then at the end, coming to terms with, okay, if we can get some, like, if we can amass a force of people, maybe turn part of Brontos's army against him and attack on the day of the wedding. I think that makes
Mm-hmm.
a lot of sense. But she should not want to bring in a foreign force or bring an army and do open warfare on her own country. Like that that is such a dumb thing to want.
I think yeah, I think that's very true, and that can be kind of a thing as we go. Also, Terrorbird said, wait, are both Raphael and Flynn into Cosima? So the way I would like it to be written is that Flynn is into Cosima, but Cosima and Raphael is more of a, not strictly platonic thing, but it is a connection between them that she feels appreciated that he sees her. I would not make it explicitly romantic. I would just, that is a connection they have, and that is a nuance to their relationship. And then if people want to
Like,
ship
it's
it, or it
yeah,
naturally goes that way, then you explore that, but you don't
it's
force it. What's
respect.
interesting is the dynamic, not the romance of it.
Exactly. It's a mutual respect that happens where he realizes how she has been internally playing the system and to the system at the detriment of her relationships with other people through a sense of self-preservation, and then her seeing him and how he is functioning and everything. So I love the idea of two people that mutually respect each other and their brains is.
Yes, and again, I think it adds a lot of nice nuance. And I actually think during the
And
frame story, Cosima should reveal stuff about Leila and growing up with her that makes Tobias like a little bit like, what's going on?
yeah. And also, I think Cosima doesn't necessarily have to be explicitly. I think Flynn and Cosima should not actually, now that we're talking about this, at least not at this point, or to start with, Cosima actually shows no interest in Flynn. And Flynn has to come to terms of, I'm going to try save this woman that I love who actually has shown no interest in me and who might never want to be in me,
Uh,
but I don't want this happening to her. You know, realizing that a woman's worth is not just her being in love with me, but that like she is a human, I can do good things for her without expecting her to be in love with me, because and he can see his expectations of a relationship playing out in how Brontes treat, and now it's a much more extreme version in how Brontes treats women, where it's this very transactional, and him coming to terms with, oh, I'm kind of transactional in how I experience women as well. And this would be a slow process that kind of happens. And then him being like, I love her, I want to save her. I don't know what's going to happen. Her and Raphael are really close, but like, this is just the thing I want to do.
and I think and it could crush him. You know what I mean? That like,
Yes.
oh, she's not actually into me. Uh,
Oh, I love this. Can I tell you, I'm having so much more fun with Flynn and Stephen and Raphael
yeah,
and
it's
what's
kind of
going on
good.
in the castle. That's what our two POVs should be. It should be either Tobias or Leila in that stuff, or I guess Tobias in the castle on that side of things, and then Leila just not there. God, this is so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I think this actually, because I was like, do we even want to keep the frame story? But this I think is really interesting. The only way we're going to really be able to get these characters without just straight up giving them a POV.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, make Flynn Boy yearn. Okay, so we should think about plot, or we should think about the side quests. They're not really side quests, but I think of them as side quests that go on the book. The first in the book is Josian Stables. We also have Brothel. We also have. Oh, we got to think about how we're going to handle Delphi.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Side quests: Josian Stables, Brothel,
Trigo.
pirate
No. Yeah.
ship,
Pirates. The smuggler ship.
pirate
Trigolia.
ships, Trigolia,
Raid party in Trigolia.
rave party. Then there's the rapids. We can completely ignore that. That was such a pointless thing. And then we have Kovar, which I believe this is how you spell Kovar. I'm not positive. I've already forgotten.
I think it's
Kovar?
Kovh. Like the H comes at the end.
Oh, I
Yeah,
think you're
that's
correct. Yeah, I think that
with
looks right.
no. So it's HR.
Sorry, hold on. I might have to block someone else.
That's okay.
Anyway, so side quests. Josian Stables, Brothel, Pirate Ship, Trigolia, Rave Party, Kovar. Okay, so.
Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. I just thought of what's
Hit
happening
me.
with Delphi. Delphi's been captured. Delphi, everyone that he knows that was part of, because you know how he was like, Delphi's like, after the culmination, he captured Pippa and the dungeon guy who already lived in his dungeon and took them somewhere. No, Delphi, all of those characters have been captured, and we're going to have Delphi and Cosima rebuild a relationship as Cosima realizes she's being treated terribly and trying to help them. And Tobias
Okay.
witnesses that and kind of
Well,
sees it.
okay, so here's another way we could play it, though, that I was thinking of, which is that Delphi immediately gets out of Dodge when everybody in her
Oh, that
household
also
is
works.
caught or whatever, and she is part of the 5-man band in the woods, and her and Naomi have a thing. Because I kind of like
Ah,
the idea of like, it's cool that Delphi sleeps around a lot, but I think that's a fun kind of like more like, oh wow, I am into somebody in a way that I haven't been before, and I don't quite know how to handle that. I think that could be kind
oh,
of
I
fun.
love this. I love this.
And especially because like Naomi is like kind of a strong-headed character anyway. And also like I like the idea too that Delphi's kind of into her, even though she's like in a wheelchair. Uh,
Yeah. No, I
okay,
love this. Okay, so instead of Raphael joining them in chapter 3, it'll be Delphi.
yeah. She shadow walks to them. And the other thing, it's a bit of a retcon because it was the second book, or the book ends 1 and 2, I think, with Delphi being like, I gotta stay in the castle to figure out what's going on. And they don't treat this like it's a really stupid idea. And here we're saying it was a really stupid idea, but also in the actual Savior's Army, she doesn't do anything in the castle. She just hides.
Yes.
barely got out in time with Pippa being captured. To be honest, I actually would kind of like Pippa to show up in the five-man band too, because then I think you could do some kind of interesting stuff with her.
Yeah.
Oh, or you know what? Pippa could show up as Cosima's like little like friend. You know what I mean? That could be a place for her
Yeah,
too.
maybe he captured Pippa. She was in the dungeons and Cosima tried to say, well, everybody knew that Pippa was friends with the, like it would make sense and Cosima, tries to manipulate her way and she's not necessarily good to Pippa like in
Yeah.
obvious ways, but she got her out of the dungeons, like kind of like playing that angle.
Well, they're still sisters. Like that's
Yeah,
the thing that's
exactly.
weird
They
about it is
grew
they
up
don't.
together.
Yeah, and I think is kept
They
close by
tried to
Cosima.
let me tell you, if Moreci ever watched this, God, she would hate this so much.
She would. She absolutely detests that anyone thinks Flynn or Cosima could have any interest. And like I get it. They don't do good things, but that's kind of delicious in a literary sense. That's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Let's see. Maybe Brontes okay. My brilliant idea. Brontes is a cool golden retriever, so every time Leila's like he's evil, the people are like, "Oh, but look at his little face. He has soft ears." I like that. Pull a Colonel Brandon on Brontes. Which one's Colonel Brandon? I don't remember.
I don't
It'll come
remember.
to me in a minute. He has been doing this for a while. You'd think he'd have some kind of political people skill. Pippa is traveling with a witch hunter and too naive to see him as the threat and just accepts it because she's not a witch. That
We can't. We don't have the point of view space.
oh
We don't listen. Isn't
oh
that excellent? We're
no, that's
having this
so
old
good because
grizzled witch hunter with
oh oh we gotta do it. Okay, no, all right. Here's how it works.
how we're adding another
Slormworm is having
point
great
of
ideas.
view.
No, 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 no. He is taking Pippa with him everywhere as a way of being like, hey, you can't kill me. Like he knows that she can use her as blackmail for Leila, right? And to maybe draw Leila out. But while they're traveling around, the two of them kind of, he starts to like her more, And I think that's kind of an interesting, like, grizzled, terrible witch hunter guy and cute little girl. And he doesn't become good at the end, but maybe he does something to save her at the
Mm-hmm.
last moment, Like,
Yeah,
you don't redeem him, but it just adds a little complexity.
it's an excellent fucking idea. God, can I tell you, this is so much better than booking.
Yeah, we're immediately cooking. All right, hold on. Pippa is with the witch hunter. He knows because he thinks he can leverage her against Leila. Um, Unwillingly, he bonds with her. And she thinks what? How did Slormworm put it? I thought that was really funny. Um, and too naive to see him as a threat and just accepts it because she's unwillingly he bonds with her. She doesn't see him as a threat because obviously she's not a witch. Oh, and he just accepts it because she's not a witch. No, I think I like the way we're doing it, but not that you're dumb,
Yeah.
right? But I was just saying this is the way. She doesn't see him as a threat. Um, in the end, he is not redeemed, but does do something. But does save Pippa. Something. I like that. I think that to me
Yeah.
is an interesting. I think to me that's an interesting little just dynamic, and it's also a way of bringing Pippa into the story, and Tobias and Leila getting sidelined once again during the rewrite.
Yep.
Um,
Also, Stormworm points out, yo, that would mean the witch hunter is using her the same way Layla used her early on.
oh, interesting
Yeah.
thematic parallels. Perhaps
Uh-huh.
Leila will think about this. She won't.
She
Okay,
will not.
let me just bold this so we know. Delphi. This is where she first shows up. This is a thing in a script where you bold the first time every character shows up, but I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Delphi never. Tobias and Leila being sidelined is a major clue that perhaps it would be a better story if they were missing, and the story should be about finding out where they are and what happened to them. So I do think we're going to find out some interesting stuff about Leila and Tobias when we get there. Because I remember there's one point in one of our other rewrite videos where we're like, Tobias is such a bit like a boring character compared to the drama between these new sisters that we've designed. And then we went into Tobias and what was his friend who died, who got smushed called? Milo. And like all of a sudden they had a very interesting dynamic once we started exploring it. And I think already Leila and Tobias are a little bit more interesting. And I think as we get into it more, we'll find interesting things about them. Mm-hmm. Trauma bonding.
Things are happening. Like, who are we? Like, maybe she starts having to make decisions that Tobias doesn't like, or he starts making decisions she doesn't like, and they have to like process and work through that. Because like, as much as you can say that like they have that whole thing where he's like, "Oh my God, you were the savior, you lied to me," like the third act breakup.
Mm-hmm. They didn't really.
And it doesn't really, and also if that was their third act breakup, it doesn't provide a really good place for where this story starts, as Will and I talked about before, where like the romantic storyline and the actual storyline don't match. So having it where they love each other, but there is some tension kind of throughout this thing, as Leila, she has to figure out how to be a queen in public and not just a queen, like, because she has not ever
Mm-hmm.
actually been a queen. She is politicked.
Well, she's just been a serial killer.
Killed people.
Shadow walking
she's
serial killer, as I think
machinated.
one of us said.
Yeah, and so now she has to learn how to be an actual queen, how to interact with her public, who is her public. And as she learns this, like coming to terms with that, and then how does that change like their interactions and stuff? And honestly, I think that could be really fascinating, as like this book needs to be Leila's self-discovery of who she is.
I think so. Okay, so side quests and you. I think the first thing we need to I here are just some thought dumps I had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heals lepers. In terms of like, I think she should start trying to at some point she'll try and heal people, and that will kind of draw people to her. Maybe. I think starts to form popular movement is crushed by Brunties. And then I think also something that needs to be done with the army, maybe. But those were like my two big ideas. My vague idea is that she should start to try a popular movement now that she's like, oh, you know what? Delphi should have the one. Okay, no, this is good. Hold on. Delphi, sorry, I do this a lot. I start sentences and then end them. Delphi has intelligence, or Delphi got intelligence before she left.
Join them?
That Kovar would be amicable to sending an army, which she pushes for. Leila balks at the idea of a foreign army on Thessan soil pillaging, etc. I think this is kind of an interesting. It doesn't really follow from Delphi's character, but we're doing what we have to.
No, I mean, Delphi seems very practical, and also like her home has been invaded, and it could be something where she provides this information, and she might not necessarily be pro it, but maybe one of the other characters is, like maybe Tobias, not understanding like the huge political implications of it, is more pro, and Delphi is on his side rather than Leila, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's true. Also, this is so funny. I honestly shipped Leila with the random covariant she fights with so much more than with Tobias. Yeah, I actually did too. I was kind of like, oh, this is like a real kind of like relationship they have for a minute. Like there's a sense of authenticity. Um. Oh, also, here. Also, it's taken as a given that Leila must be the ruler. Yes, Bronte's evil must be stopped, but why is that the savior is the one who must have political power? Yes, that should be the journey that Leila goes on in this and the next book. Is how once I get power back, what does that mean for Thesson?
Oh,
Should
yes.
like maybe democracy by the people now that she's been among the people? She's like, yeah,
Parliament.
yeah, exactly. I'm good for the land, but I am not of the land. Or I am of the land, but I am not the people. I don't know. Whatever that thing could be phrased nicely. I think that's kind of the overall arc she
But
needs to have.
also, what does my magic do for us? Like understanding how good, like how to do taxes well, or like understanding the economic intricacies of our society. Like that, those are learned skills
Mm-hmm.
that that someone who necessarily isn't born into the power might have better. Like maybe they do end up at the brothel, and she sees the way Issa runs everything. Her understanding of how the policies from the castle affects the economy of the whole town. Like maybe Issa is plugged into everything. Like she's in charge of the grain,
Yeah.
like that kind of. She's like, "Wow,
They.
you're really smart. You should be." Or yeah, excuse me,
Yeah.
they. Uh, and Layla's like, "Wow, that's incredible. Like, how did
Yeah. No. When I get
you
back into
basically
power,
run this place?"
you get to be Department of the agriculture or something like that.
Yeah,
Or like, okay, no,
agriculture.
this is, and then that actually has a reason for there to be this character who otherwise seems to have just shown up so that Moreci could have her bingo card of representation. Because I do think that's
Hmm.
actually like a non-binary character would be very cool to have more of, and be an actual
Yeah.
character in the book. Um, okay.
And also fit with the prototype of what Jenna's put there, which is that this is someone who is very loyal to her community, or excuse me, their community, and is really good at what they do, you
Yeah.
know?
No, you're entirely correct that we need to see Leila like actually have to interact with people on the ground and understand the realness of what's going on. And she can also, I think,
And
realize that so much of what she's been doing is murder, but that's not really what the realm needs. You know what I mean? She hasn't
needs
actually been a queen.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's why something a character like Issa, having them show up and be like, what are you doing? What is your actual plan? Like, I am willing to back you, but I need to know you have an actual plan. And Layla having to reckon with their judgment and realize, honestly, Issa as the like you know because we talked about like the failed attempt of, oh no, my AirPods are going to die. I'm so sorry.
I was gonna tell
So
you that you should only put in one and charge the other, but I was like, no, Maria keeps hers charged.
I mean, they were charged. They've been in the case this whole time, so I don't know.
Oh.
They're also old, so
Hmm.
they came out of the case, in the case, like they came out at 100%. But they're old, so they might just be dying.
Dinah says, as a non-binary person, I was so disappointed with the fact Jenna did nothing with her only non-binary character. I mean, it's funny because I kind of think Issa, if they weren't non-binary, would have been portrayed worse. I think Moreci just knew she couldn't do that to her only non-binary character. And so it was just like, oh no, they're grumpy, but because they're like one of the few people that are allowed to be grumpy with Leila, but not portrayed poorly. So in that respect, that's something. But no, I agree. It's weird. But part of it is she doesn't really introduce any new characters that could be non-binary. And I'm assuming back when the Saviors Champion came out, she didn't really know about them that much. But I'm just
Yeah.
talking out loud. Uh,
Honestly, I think that we bring Issa in as maybe not like part of the party of five, but like a more regular presence throughout the book, even through like communications. Um, Sorry, I'm taking out my one AirPod so I can charge it, guys. Um, because I think that's just such a better use for the character and understanding like the entire society.
yeah, I'm writing down some thematic notes. Um,
Perfect. Let's go.
yes. Okay. So we would do thematically. Layla must realize she's murdered so much for the throne, but what does that mean for the people? She has She has no real skill ruling. Why do they care who rules besides that she's a fertility bomb? The savior belongs to the land, not the land to the savior. Because there's a,
Oh,
I think that's
gotcha.
kind of an interesting. Really, what I'm doing is I'm cribbing this from Stannis's plotline in A Song of Ice and Fire, but shh. But less ice zombies in this one, unfortunately. Um. Okay. Fertility bomb. I couldn't think of the correct word. So she's a compost bomb. Okay.
She's a weed and feed. She's keeping a terrible disease at bay and feeding the land.
She's a weed and feed bomb. Okay. Okay, so right back here, we're at the. This is, I think, a good way to get. She barely gets out in time. Got out. Okay, that's not important. Lay the bulks of the day before our army on Pheasant soil, pillaging, etc. I think that at this point, I mean, this is one place the bounty hunter could show up by following Delphi, but I think it's a little too soon because we
Yeah.
just got away from him.
And he might not know that Delphi had the shadow walking to be paying as close of attention to it, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe
I must defend the
maybe
realm to win the throne, not win the throne to defend the realm. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what can I say though? It's a very strong theme, and I really like it. And also, when you're talking about pre-modern society and somebody and a king being good, that's kind of their one like real thing.
yeah. Maybe Delphi got out of town at culmination. So she was out of the castle before they even tried to assassinate Brontes, and maybe she actually has an aunt who works in the town where the brothel is, and that she gets in with all of them. And that's how they have the connection to the, because like otherwise, why the fuck else would they end up at that brothel?
Yeah,
But and so when she finds them, she takes them there so they can regroup and plan. Because she's already been out and
yeah.
about. Like they've been,
Delphi takes them
and
to her
also,
aunt's brothel. Isa is her aunt. There's not a gender neutral aunt uncle, so I'm just gonna put aunt guys, but Isa would remain a non-binary character because I think that's
non-binary
again, I think
character.
that's a very interesting thing. And yeah, why not in a world that apparently does not really care? Let's see. Isa is her aunt. I think no. You know what though? I think we need to before that we need to have an encounter with soldiers. Um, they seem loyal to the savior, which complicates things for killing them. So this is where we're going to run into a bit of the retcon problem, which is that Leila has never cared about killing innocents. She's totally okay with it. But I think it's an interesting conflict to have her be like, well, we can't fight him outright because we're going to be fighting a lot of our own people. Um, and I'm not quite sure how we would square that. Or like what the catalyst for
Yeah,
difference would be there.
yeah. Maybe Tobias points it out. Like maybe he's the one who's like,
Oh,
"Hey, you realize those soldiers are like," and maybe remember there's that one guy in the tournament, like the dog. Not that he was well liked or anything, but like that.
yeah, the
This is
marshal or
a
something like that. The captain, something
yeah,
dumb.
whatever his name was, and he is like that. Tobias could have been like, if I hadn't needed, the immediate, or I instead of going to the sugar canes, I easily could have joined the army. Like it's just
Oh,
a job, Layla.
actually, you know what would be kind
It
of
is
fun
it is
too
a
as a
way
callback
for
is if the soldiers at some point remember that guy from the tournament and are like, yeah, we were rooting for that guy and he lost. It was sad for the army to lose one of their own. You know what I mean? Like we
yeah,
were rooting for him, which is just a nice way of tying in the culture. Um,
exactly.
the moral
And having, Tobias be the one to point out instead of being, happy to just murder innocent people.
we could also point out that there maybe is a difference between Brontus's inner guard of like, you know, his Praetorian guard in the castles and these more like conscripted soldiers or whatever.
Yeah.
brought Tobias. He considered joining the jury instead of cutting sugar cane with a scythe? Parentheses, question mark, question mark. They're just doing their job and think they're serving the savior. This forces Leila to see things differently. Things differently. And what is the word I'm thinking of? See things differently. And be less confrontive. Because I think
Confrontational.
confrontational with facing Brontes. Because I think maybe her first idea should be like, all right, let's find this hidden fortress of Brontes and like cut our way inside. And it's like, well, no, if you do that, you're going to be killing a lot of people who think the people are good.
Mm-hmm.
About 1 hour behind, watching Hello from
No,
Brazil.
I love that one of the things she has to go, like the journey she has to go on is, using different resources than just violence.
Ah, yes. She cannot just serially murder everyone. You know what it is? Is maybe that like encounter with soldiers. Um, Leila and Tobias sneak up on a patrol. Leila prepares to slaughter them, but Tobias objects. He considered joining the soldiery instead of cutting sugar cane with the scythe. Question mark, question mark. I think so. This forces Leila to see things differently and be less confrontational with fame. She cannot just serially murder everyone. I like that. I think that's really good. Oh,
So unfortunately, my AirPods did die. I did take the one out and plug it in, but it has not charged enough. So I'm now realizing that the one died much quicker than the other. So I think there's something wrong with the one. I have the other one charging, but I'm going to have to mute myself once I finish talking. Otherwise, we'll be able to hear you as well. So,
let's see. You don't know how to do a hotspot, right?
the problem is on my computer, it would use up way too much of my to stream it and everything. I think it would use too much of my
Your what internet?
yeah, because I don't have unlimited. I have like 20
Oh,
gigs. Yeah, like
gotcha.
as far as my data, I don't have a lot. So even this is going to be using up a huge
Guys,
chunk
join the
of
Patreon so that we
my.
can do this.
How bad is? Can you hear
No,
yourself?
not at all.
Okay, guys in the chat, because then we might be able to just continue.
Yeah, no, this is
Because
fine.
if
Your
you
voice
can't,
quality changed a little, but it's not bad.
okay, perfect. Anyone, let us know if we have a echo or anything, because like I no longer have my AirPods in. But yeah, we'll go from
Okay,
there.
all right. Yeah, no, that seems to be fine. Right there, it did it.
Oh, people are saying the audio is better. So let's
Hold
go.
on, let me see if I say something. No, okay, that's fine. It caught it like one time, but I can just edit it. Maria audio change. I'm marking it so that I know when I
Okay.
edit this. You sound fine, but actually closer to Will's volume now. That's actually pretty funny. Okay, she cannot just serially murder everyone.
Yep.
Okay, my brain's beginning to die a little bit, but we're gonna push ahead. Okay, so how about chapter 4? Delphi takes them to her aunt's brothel, right?
Yep.
I think this is for them to hide and find a place to Doc, Naomi, her, and Yukana. Because of the shadow walking thing, I think that this can be one plot line. Leila can keep going back. Like we'll park these three characters here, and Leila can go here, and but then also Tobias onto wherever they're trying to find whatever plan, whatever quest they're going to be doing later.
Yeah.
But if Leila can't murder everyone, how will she be a feminist icon? You know, you make a really good point. We are being somewhat
We're
regressive
doing our
here.
best
Yeah,
out here.
no, we're being somewhat regressive.
The other thing is they should stay here using Issa as a maybe Issa knows the trade routes, because
Oh,
we
you're
don't have
right.
Raphael to be like, Trigolia's borders are. So they should stay here working on a plan. So you know how like they were in Josin trying to like make plans
Yes.
and stuff like that? This should function as that, where they start working up on a plan. And maybe Issa's the one who's like, hey, if you have an army willing to like and you need to not be like or maybe if you're going to bring in a foreign army you need to be aware of the fact that it could go badly for your people, like however they want to have that, but have those discussions, have Issa be like, hey, you can get in through Trigolia because that's how you can get into Kovar. I know because of my trading connections, I know a spot where you can kind of go through and
Mm-hmm.
maybe Issa buys people who have been sold into
Oh,
you know
yeah, and like
and
rehabilitates them maybe or something like that.
yeah, and lets them, they can go into like the agriculture, like basically they buy them the slaves, and then they let them choose what they want to do, and some end up being like, no, actually I'm happy if I have some agency, I'm happy to work in a brothel, and some go in other places. So while Issa is ostensibly the head of the the running this brothel, they are also the person that is kind of like the unsung mayor of the
Mm-hmm.
town.
Well, they're Harriet Tubman
Yes.
or Harriet Tub they. That's actually an important distinction there. Harriet Tub they.
um but anyway, and because they spend like a week there maybe working on all of this gives Layla enough familiarity with the specific room that she's staying in to be able to get back
Yeah, no,
here,
that's a good idea. And maybe especially if it's
because
like
otherwise.
Delphi, like she's familiar with, and that helps as well.
Yes, exactly, and it's the Delphi's room that she spent a lot of time in there. That would like, and the emotional connection makes a difference to that kind of thing, because that helps a ton as far as streamlining the process. And again, we've literally removed a third of the book, but we're hitting a lot of the same beats
Mm-hmm.
that were potentially necessary.
I think at this point, so this might introduce a conflict later that we can't resolve, but I think what might be kind of good is if at this point, um, Layla sees some sick people, feels compelled to go help them, to go heal them. Because I think she would. I think that this is one of her main jobs as savior. And so she would be compelled, both because she seems to, this is one thing Moreci seems to think she, well, okay. Moreci says she feels compelled to do this with Naomi, but like also she doesn't seem to be compelled to do this with anyone else. She's never like on the slave ship being like, "Oh, I could heal these slaves, from their torment right now," or something like that. Like it's just never brought up. But again, I think this is
Yeah.
with the part with like, um, maybe a leper colony, not actually lepers, but maybe a leper colony. I think that would be kind of cool. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? Hold on. I have a good idea. Ooh, I have a very good idea.
Yeah, you too.
You already know. We're going to introduce a new character here.
Dun dun dun.
Bam. The Leper Knight from Darkest Dungeon. So when she's going to heal the lepers or whatever, one of them is like a guy who knows where to go in places like that. He could be like he could be like their guide. You know what I mean? And since Leila has healed him,
Oh,
he
yeah.
also could have a perspective on it where he's like, "Oh, damn, you are the savior. I am now. I think you're great." You know what I mean?
Sworn. I'm sworn to
I'm
you.
sworn to you. Yes. And it could be something where it's like his leprosy is too far along to actually fully cure, but it's enough for her to cure other people. Because the thing is, you do want to sidetrack that Jenna rightly sidesteps of like her being able to fix disabilities, right? We don't want that.
Yeah.
But we do want, her healing still has to be pretty capable. So, at leper colony, they meet the leper knight who will be their guide. He worships Leila, which feels uncomfortable. I think that's like a good
And Layla has to come to terms with the fact that she is a religious figure. That, like, on top, and that, like, what she
yes.
does for other people is magical and holy, and having to come to terms with the fact that she is a queen. And because, like, let me tell you, that moment of Layla being like, Issa, you have to do this. I am your queen. You have to, like, that is so unearned. Nobody has ever listened to her like that. What a bold thing to try. But to actually, maybe Issa is the one to be like, yo, you need to speak with authority, like, from your chest, bro. And then having the leper knight, like, legitimately kind of worship her as a deity, and then having to confront, like, I am on one hand human. Something the book does not confront at all, especially given that line about the holy deity of Thesson,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sucking some dick. uh like it's covered in sugar. This book does not reckon with that at all, but have her like, what do I owe to the people to be this, like, queen and
Mm-hmm.
religious figure and be holy versus being an actual human, which is something that, like, throughout history, optics of the kings and queen has been highly regulated. Like, you don't necessarily always get to do whatever the heck you want, um especially as a female ruler. um
So I think also she needs to. This could be a moment where she kind of has to take on that role again. This is a way we can use as a catalyst, not to retcon the previous books. But go, oh, in the palace, she was used to this. Nobody was really sick either, but here in the real world, this is literal miracle shit. Like the
yes.
number one cause of death in ancient times, or not the number one, but close to the number one, was disease. Usually it's because you don't starve to death, your immune system gets weakened and then disease is what kills you off, usually. I mean, there's a reason that
Mhm.
the four horsemen of the apocalypse are famine, food, and war, or famine, sickness, and war, and that's because those are the main three things that you would die from in those time periods, with war being only for men. And then also childbirth, but women, nobody cares about them. So, how much does she owe the people versus herself? Um, we could call chapter 4 Whores and Lepers. Or whores, lepers, and tigers. Oh my.
My.
Whores, lepers, and tigers. Oh my. Okay. But the thing is that healing them, healing the lepers will draw Brontis's gaze.
Yep.
Um, and so I think maybe she could get.
And using her magic has a specific, like a ping that the witch hunter is like, boop boop, lots of magic being used over here, boop
Yeah,
boop.
exactly. I like that. Or maybe it's one of these things where. So the thing is, it should be sneaky in the book where we realize that at the end we have a moment where, like, oh, he was looking at the name of the brothel when when she was healing his eye, and that's how the Banshee Hunter knew where they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Oh
should be able to track
man.
back, and obviously I'm not clever enough to do that here, but yeah, that's how they realize the Pippa's with Witch Hunter at that moment. What if at some point they meet the Witch Hunter and his companion, and Leila rushes in to kill Shoyas and accidentally hurts people who get saved by the Witch Hunter? I mean, I do think next time he shows up, that should be part of it. Uh,
Oh my god, that's great.
uh, I feel like Jenna wants.
What a character arc for Layla we've
Mm.
developed,
I told
guys.
you guys. I told you guys.
Excellent. Excellent.
Chapter 5. Healing the lepers quickly draws Brontus's gaze, and the witch hunter and a bunch of soldiers show up. Fight scene, but sad style. Having to kill innocents, I think, is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just coughed right into the microphone.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I feel like Jenna wants every reader to have the exact same opinion about her characters as she herself does, and it leaves zero room for complexity whatsoever. Yes. She like has explicitly said that like she's the author, it's her world, she gets to decide these things. I'm beginning to tire out a little bit, guys. I'm gonna grab some peanuts. Peanuts.
I mean, hey, if you want, I'm happy to. What's on the schedule next? Like, I'm happy to do another rewrite, and we can,
Continue.
pick up and do like,
Ooh.
yeah, because we're 2 hours in. I don't know about everybody else, but like, meet back here in like 2 weeks. This rewrite, we're going into a lot more detail into like chapters and in a more
Yeah.
nitty gritty, and I'm actually quite enjoying that. And I'd rather not like rush through it when we're both kind of fading. So I'm down.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally correct. I think this is a good place to stop. We have the basic ideas as we go. I think it's good that we're kind of. I had some abstract ideas for the plots and themes and character arcs, and I think it's good we're grounding them into actual scenes as we go.
Yeah.
And we're finding out new things about the characters, and that's always good. If you guys want more of this kind of thing, check out the 2 rewrite videos we did years ago, where we just kind of completely took the basic premise and went in a different direction with it. Those are still so much fun to me.
They
We
really
came up
are.
with such like banger ideas.
Banger ideas. We did such a good job.
We
Katie
really
and I
did.
also, if you like this, we did a rewrite of Sword Heart, which was really good. Like we had
Hmm.
a really awesome time with that one.
We also did one of the Cyborg Tinkerer, which became
Oh
like a
yeah.
cyberpunk post-capitalistic horror book. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
or a dystopia kind of book. That was fun. We actually could do this kind of stuff more often if there was a hankering for it. It's just that outside of the Saviors series, the rewrites have never done well on the channel. So
I mean, maybe doing them as live streams is the way to do it, because
yeah, it's not a bad idea.
getting the audience engagement. You guys are giving feedback, and that way it's like,
Yeah,
benefiting
we
the
could do
channel.
more
And if
rewrites
we,
too.
yeah, and we can advertise it like ahead of time, so people that want to see the rewrite can like join for the live stream, and that way we don't have to put too much pressure on it as a video on its own to do well.
Yeah, we could do we could go to playlists, we could do like where's our roast videos? Roasting bad books. We could do rewrites of different ones from here, I suppose. Not
Yeah,
Shadowversity, because I've seen that done a couple times.
yeah.
But
No, thank you.
some of the other
But
ones I think could be fun.
I think one of the reasons the rewrites don't do well is because it's much more of like a uh, conceptual viewing experience, and I think for some people it's just not what they come to the channel for. Like, unfortunately, books that the videos that do well are the ones where we're critiquing a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and the rewrite video comes after we've already critiqued the book, so people are less likely to engage as well with that. So I don't know. Oh, somebody said watching a Song of Achilles rewrite from you would be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, part of it also though is it has to have something that has like a little bit of zhuzh to the basic idea.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's creative. Because I mean,
Yeah.
the thing about doing a rewrite of Song of Achilles is we would now just be doing our own fan fiction version of that story, like ancient Greek story.
Yeah, we will continue this next week then, and then who knows if we don't finish it off next week, maybe the week after. I think it is fun to do live streams like this. For those who are wondering, what I do is I'll check this live stream down after we, like right after we go, and you can still see it if you're a Patreon through the Discord link, because it's unlisted, not private. And then I'll upload a mildly edited version of this to the channel next Friday, probably. All right. We will see you all later, our parasocial darlings.
Bye.